After he had said this, he breaks it down a little further, verse 11. Y'all enjoying this Bible study today? After he said this, he went on to tell them, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep. He means he's died. He's speaking symbolically. But the disciples are kind of literal, you know. He says, he's fallen asleep. I'm going to wake him up. His disciples replied, Lord, if he sleeps, he'll get better. Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So then he told them plainly, Lazarus is dead. Make it plain, Jesus. Because I will always see things on the surface. See, everybody in here has a Lazarus, but I'm not just talking about a person that you've lost. Everybody in here has a Lazarus, but it might not be a relationship. Your Lazarus might be something in your character that you thought would be fixed by now. And you sent a message to Jesus saying, come over here to Bethany and see about me. Come over here and break these chains off of my life so I can serve you. Everybody in here has a Lazarus. I'm not a rookie pastor anymore. I've been at this about as long as my oldest son has been alive. And one thing I've learned is everybody has a Lazarus. Some people's Lazarus is buried so deep they forgot about it. It no longer even registers anymore because we've learned how to move on from the event, but we never process the disappointment. And the Lazarus factor says that how you process the disappointment determines whether it becomes faith that propels you or fear that paralyzes you. So when they sent word to Jesus and he didn't come when they wanted, now they have a decision to make. If he did not come when we want him to come and did not do what we wanted him to do, does he still love us? This is the Lazarus factor. I know that he loves me, and I am no longer looking for proof of that fact. I am living from the proof that he loves me. This love is not based in just what he did. Sometimes this love is proven by what he chooses not to do. Jesus said, I'm going to wake him up. And I love Thomas's faith. Watch this. He says, Jesus says, verse 15, I'm glad I was not there so that you may believe, but let us go to him. And Thomas, also known as Didymus, said to the rest of the disciples, let us also go that we may die with him. What great faith. Jesus says, I'm going to wake him up. And Thomas says, let's go die. The Lazarus factor is the faith to follow him anyway. This message is from my heart today because we all have a Lazarus. And whether that's a dream that didn't play out the way that you thought it would play out, or whether that's a way that you saw the most important relationships in your life materializing, you know, the starter kit version of Christianity that you started with. And now you're having to understand the fact that he loved them and he was still late. God's never late. You never read the Bible. You just memorized a cliche. Jesus was late. I started to say he was fashionably late, but actually he was functionally late. It means he showed up late because of his love. Because there was something about his character that they would not see if he showed up at the sickbed. He had to show up at the tomb so they could see something about him, not a new thing that he was, but what God is doing in your life right now. He is going to show you his glory in a way you've never seen before. He's going to show you his demonstration of power in a way you haven't experienced it yet. And I know it's really difficult to stay in that place of faith. In fact, The Bible says in verse 17, on his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now, this is significant to the Jewish audience for which John intended this gospel account. They believed that within the first 3 days of death, the spirit could return to a man. It was a sort of superstitious belief that was common to Judaism in the first century. But Jesus waited until after their time period expired to reveal his glory. I wonder, is God waiting past the point of your expectation so his strength can kick in with a new velocity? I feel your spirit, God. He showed up after 4 days. Now, Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. So they came to comfort Martha and Mary because that's all they could do. There's only so much people can do for you, even if they mean well. There's only so much your friends can do for you. Stop worshiping people. People can only do so much for you. Don't make them an idol. They are not your God. People can be a gift, but they cannot be your God. There's some things in my life that only Christ can do. There's some things I appreciate the help, I appreciate the prayers, I appreciate the well wishes, but I need Jesus for this job. This is a big one. I need the master. I need the healer. I need the great I am. I need the bread of life. I need the light of heaven. I need Jesus. I need Jesus.